we've heard these rumors that you might run for president, and I was wondering if you do and you win, what would be my role?
Well, I think you'd be a fantastic press secretary. You know, would finally have a little personality in that position.
Yeah, exactly.
Wow, America, we really did it this time. And you know it's good when the media is losing their And now, as if on cue, they ask, how do we explain this election to our children? So children, let me help. Do you know what this is like? It's like going to bed Christmas Eve, hoping for a bicycle, and waking up to this. It's like asking mommy and daddy for a puppy, and they give you this. And teenage boys, imagine fearing the worst first blind date ever, but getting this. This is nothing short of amazing. It's like going to bed looking like this and waking up looking like this. What I'm saying, America's children, it's not bad. It's actually okay. Now, I know some folks are freaking out. Here's a picture of the White House staff. It's like they're watching me undress. I know that feeling. But liberals, you're going to be fine. Mr. Trump is less hawkish than Hillary and pretty liberal on social issues. Yeah, he wants to say Islamic terror. So what? That's normal. Imagine what you could have had instead.
Sam I am. That Sam I am, that Sam I am. I do not like that Sam I am. Do you like green eggs and ham? I do not like them, Sam I am. I do not like green eggs and ham.
Compared to Cruz, Mr. Trump is this.
I really... Okay, watch it. This one.
Okay, I mean.
Oh, it's so cute.
Positively adorable. And be honest, you liberals pulled this same crap with Ronald Reagan in 1980. You acted like it was the end of the world, but everything turned out fine, right? The 80s. And let's be honest, we all have more in common with Mr. Trump than we admit. We're profane, we're impulsive, we tweet pictures of taco salads. Really, we just elected us, except us with odd hair and now an army. So who do we owe Trump's win to?
It's the Trump Awards.
Please spare no expense. First award goes to the media, who gave endless airtime to Mr. Trump. He was on TV more often than a catheter ad. And now the media, of course, is focusing on the post-election fears. And where are these fears coming from? The media. Remember how they fretted over violence by Trump fans in case he lost, despite decades of the left pulling that same crap? And who's rioting now exactly? Shut up. Next, activists who demonized a country so much it blew up in their faces. Subversion is their Soros-sponsored occupation because they have no other. The great thing about activists, all that free time. It's not like they have to get up early the next morning to replace grandma's hip. No, their only pressing engagement is defecation. Next, college kids. All you safe spacers who are crying right now, imagine how we must feel. You're our future. Just some of them. The campus is just a glorified daycare center. Fourth award, Hillary's Hollywood groupies. Lena Dunham, Cher, Lady Gaga, who validated Trump's win through their arrogant, misguided mockery of the average American. Katy Perry just called for revolution, knowing the riots will never reach her beach house. If anyone elected Trump, it was those. So, do you notice a unifying theme here? Crying students, weepy newscasters, grieving celebrities. What do they all have in common? The last 4 decades of me, which replaced the previous decades of we. No wonder the concept of unity is so confusing. They don't get it. The last award, to me. I may have been critical of Mr. Trump, but for a reason, to up his game. Thank you. For like an Irishman on the beach, I was always fair. Let's welcome tonight's guest. He's so tough, he moisturizes with motor oil. Newly retired U.S. Army Special Forces member Terry Schappert. He's so sharp, you could use him to knit a sweater. You know him as Face Man from the A-Team, the legendary actor Dirk Benedict. She's never uttered the phrase, the more the merrier. The never delightful National Review reporter Katherine Timpf. Boo! And finally, he's so big he picks his teeth with the Washington Monument. TNA wrestler Tyrus. All right. Let's get it over with. Let's get it over with. Let's get it over with. Who wants to gloat first, Terry? You were right all along, weren't you?
First of all, I'm not gloating, but I will take a little bit of credit that a month ago I called it on your show. I said he was going to win. Listen, when they nominated Donald Trump, it stopped being, you know, I wanted a Cuban guy, because who doesn't want a Cuban guy, because they are really good dancers.
Okay.
So I wanted, but once Trump was nominated, what? So once Trump was nominated, it stopped being about what Terry wanted, and it's stopping Hillary. And so, and the thing is too, they always got it wrong, because I felt it. I live in that America that that voted for Donald Trump. I live in North Carolina. I train with guys. I work with guys, and I never saw no Hillary signs. Everybody knew it was about Trump. This was an absolute refutation of being. You can only poke the bear so many times before the bear goes and gets rid of you. But now we need to be on our guard, because these people that we crushed will come back, and we got to make sure they don't come back.
All right. Just so everybody knows at home, Dirk flew all the way here from Montana to rub my face in it.
Do it. Thanks for sending the private jet.
Oh, yes.
That was really...
Yes,
yeah.
Exactly. I told him it was a private jet, and the 300 people that were with him and coach were all of his assistants.
I was not... My entourage, yes.
All right, go for it.
I'm telling you, I've had my whole, you know, I lived and worked in Hollywood. I'm born and raised in Montana. They're antithetical environments. So I was usually always the only person of a certain mind frame in Hollywood.
Right.
I was always asked to leave the room.
Yeah.
So with the exception of Reagan, I've had to, but this country's been sliding off the left cliff my whole life. Yeah. Except for Reagan. My whole life. I would tune on TV, except when Fox came along. Sometimes it's okay. I listen, I go, what country are they talking about? Who are these? What is this? What is this? And this is the first time. That's why Trump is not a leader. Trump is when he said, I'll build a wall, I mean, that's not genius. That's something like, you got 55 million people are going, you know, why don't they just build a damn wall? Why don't they? It's not complicated. He didn't come out with the idea.
He was us.
He didn't come out with the idea of a wall, and then people said, oh, never thought of that, a wall. Gee, I'm voting for that guy. They said, finally, somebody. Yeah. And so that's all. It's just common sense. And we believe he's in big trouble if on January 20th they aren't laying brick. That's the only thing. He better, and don't listen to George Will and Fred What's-His-Face and Bill What's-His-Face. He better not waver. He better not. Yeah. He better. And I'm going back to Hollywood to resurrect my career now because.
Now can you imagine? Now you're going to be in big demand, Dirk. It'll be the 1885, the reckoning. It'll begin. And you know, Tyrus.
I got the
Tyrus,
hair.
you're Mr. T.
I'll do it.
You're Mr. T.
I'll do it.
Hey,
man, I'm driving.
Can you imagine how great that would be?
Mr. T was the only conservative African American I ever met in Hollywood.
Really?
I've met others outside of Hollywood.
Yeah. But. All right, well, bro, I'm going to bring in Tyrus because, Tyrus, you and I were in the same.
Sorry, you only met one African American? Hi.
No, I've met two. No.
Tyrus counts for 4.
Yes. And a little Scottish guy.
Yeah, a little Scottish guy. Everybody, all the pollsters were wrong. You and I would talk about this all the time, about what we liked about Trump, what we didn't like, and we didn't know where we were, but we both disliked Hillary. How do you feel now?
Well, you know what? Up until the hot wire, I was in with Trump. And then when those comments came out, because I was raised by a single mom. I had a hard time with that, and that for me was it. Like, I'm not voting for Trump, but wasn't going to vote for Hillary either.
Yeah.
And the reason why I think Trump got elected was because not so much of all the stuff that he said. Even though everything he said, he played the villain. And let's face it, we love the villain. Everyone loves Darth Vader. We love the guy who tells it like it is and we don't want to hear it. Hillary played the worst villain because she was, even if you looked at the rallies, Trump's was stadiums. Hers are up close here. And you see like the same 3 people behind her. And as this thing went on and on, they were like, hey, no. And for me, the moment, besides the WikiLeaks, besides the emails, the moment that the election was lost was when she showed up with Bruce Springsteen and the all-star cast, and they had this huge thing, and I'm looking at it going, you know what? That's the first time I've seen something like that, and you think we're dumb. No one is supporting that. You brought in celebrities. They came to see the celebrities.
Exactly.
And this also proves, as I said before a million times on this show, don't listen to celebrities. They're good actors, but they're dumbass geniuses. So don't listen to celebrities.
Except for Dirk. All right, Kat.
I'm not a celebrity.
No,
Why would I be here if I was?
Get him out of here. All right,
Played, sir.
You're now on the C team.
Oh,
all right, Kat.
Been there.
Kat, you are our woman. And this was supposed to be the year of the woman, Kat. Explain what happened. Did more women vote for Hillary? Or more women vote for Donald? I can't remember.
Define woman.
It was 42% for Donald.
Well, I think that part of the problem was that that woman was Hillary Clinton. I think that her campaign is a lot like the Titanic, and I don't mean women and children first. I mean that everyone said there's no way this is going to sink, there's no way it's going to sink, and they both sank. And the arrogance of it's impossible. The Titanic didn't even bring enough lifeboats. Hillary Clinton clearly did not write a concession speech. She just stopped campaigning after the tapes came out. She was like, all right, I'm done. She gave up, just like the Titanic said, oh, I know there's icebergs, but we could take it. We're the Titanic. And then you sink, and it's embarrassing. The only difference is that Hillary Clinton managed to do that twice.
It's true. Boy, what a legacy. Her favorite drink.
It has nothing to do with her being a woman.
No.
Bernie Sanders had more momentum than she did. The only thing that he didn't have was a super PAC and the promised deal to get her back.
Did you ever think if you have to play dirty to get your candidate through the primaries, maybe she's not the best choice for the general? Maybe.
How about maybe if she can't climb stairs?
Oh, no,
listen, that's the most draining job on the planet. I thought about running, and I saw it was too tough.
Sometimes I take the elevator just because I think I deserve it.
No, please. This woman wouldn't have survived 4 years in the Oval Office anyway. She's too sick.
All right, well.
Look at her.
Okay, then. That settles it. Dirk is actually a doctor now.
I am.
I don't know what kind of doctor. I know you tell people you're a doctor just to get their clothes off, and that only worked in the Port Authority once, and I was drunk. All right, we got to go. We got to take a break. This is exciting stuff. An amazing, amazing week. I can't believe I predicted this. And I was there from the beginning. We got to go. Up next, a story so hot, I might ask it out. Rioting and protests across America. We report, they cried. They shout and weep like angry sheep. The distraught took to the streets in major cities this week to protest the fact that the United States will remain a democracy. The citizens have chosen Donald J. Trump to be their next president. And Republicans retained majorities in both the House and the Senate. Oh, the horror. Obama's progressive agenda may be sinking faster than Bill Clinton's boxers in the Oval Office. Thankfully, both Hillary and President Obama called for a peaceful transition of power.
Last night, I congratulated Donald Trump and offered to work with him on behalf of our country. I hope that he will be a successful president for all Americans.
I have instructed my team to follow the example that President Bush's team set 8 years ago and work as hard as we can to make sure that this is a successful transition for the president-elect.
What other choice do you have? But lefties everywhere can't believe that their reign of politically correct terror may be coming to an end. Boo-hoo. I bet my collection of houseboys that none of these babies ever protested against homophobic, misogynistic countries in the Middle East. Hell, I bet they pulled a Colin Kaepernick and didn't bother to vote at all. So what's their take-home message? That this Democratic election is unfair and they want a do-over? Sorry, it doesn't work that way. Better luck next time, brats.
Period.
What did you think of? What do you think of these protests? Protests, you're supposed to protest, but this seems like emotional outbursts for the sake of emotion.
Well, yeah, there's all sorts of jokes we can make about that. Yeah, well, that's legit to be upset. I wasn't happy when Barack Obama won the election, but
did you cry like a little bitch?
I didn't cry like a little bitch. No. I didn't. Yeah, no. Actually, I went and deployed overseas. Yeah, that's how I did it.
He went and killed people. That's great.
But I think
legally,
lock and load. He's in
with full backing of the federal government.
Yes.
But here's the thing. I think what this shows though is, and I didn't want to say during the election once this stuff started really rolling fast. I didn't want to be all apocalyptic about it, but I do think America, whether you realize it or not, a lot of people don't. We really did dodge a big bullet here because. This shows why, because this is what society's gotten to. And I think we had to have the guy with the hand grenade to throw in and just level this crap, because this would have continued to be coddled, would continue to be enabled and accepted. And now we just really see them for who they are. We always knew they were there. We knew they were there. But they have outed themselves.
All right, Dirk's going to explode.
This is 50 years of never saying no to your children, never spanking your children. This is 50 years of no daddies.
Interesting.
These kids out there have never had no said to them. They go off to college. They've never been failed. They play soccer with no score. And then they run into the real world eventually. And they have conflict-free zones. They're raised in, they're like hothouse tomatoes. They never deal with rain and the real weather.
That's a good one.
And then the real world shows up. And oh my God, it's the end of the world. They should be locked up. They should not be allowed to go back to college. I mean, it's absolutely a waste of time.
Turn them into Soylent Green.
That's where they're
turn them into
That's why they're taught that they're special. They're special and unique like everyone else.
Let him go, Greg. Let him go.
He's on a roll.
I swear to God.
He's on fire right now.
You actually live across the street from me, and in the mornings with the rake shout at me when I get
will.
In his bathrobe,
yes. He's in a bathrobe.
In his underwear.
Stay
off my grass.
I walk down heavy metal music. I walk down. I got a cat. You got to respond. It's not all people. It's not all. It's they're protesters and then there's rioters. I know. You're keeping time. Cat.
I don't even know what's the question.
The question is, it's a fairly broad generalization that you just heard.
Yeah. No. First of all, not everybody protesting in the street are millennials, which is, I think, what you were getting at.
Good point.
There are a lot of adult people who I'm sure, who are perhaps been spanked and did have dads who are still behaving that way. And no, I do think it's interesting that they're being called protesters, because you're protesting is saying, oh, I don't like this you want it to change.
Yeah.
It's not a protest. Like you said, it's just an emotional, it's just
right.
I feel bad.
Yes.
Which is okay, but can you feel bad outside of the flow of traffic?
I'd be willing to bet $2 if you stopped them and said, how many of you voted?
Yeah.
They'd be like, I didn't vote.
Also, why are they protesting here? And why are they blocking the 405 in LA? Everybody knew that New York went to Hillary, California went to Hillary. Go to Kentucky and have a temper tantrum there.
And they won't do it.
They won't do it because if they went to the areas that voted heavily for Trump, they would get their
butts. That's a lot of Second Amendment in there.
Yeah. So they go to Portland.
Yeah.
They go to Portland, Oregon.
We got a lot of guns in those
states. But that's the red. America's red. You saw the map. So that's most of America, except here and in LA and in Chicago and in Detroit. In certain areas, you can riot.
Isn't it just okay?
It's a riot.
The unspeakable truth with is that it's fun. If people think they can get away with it, if they think they can get away with it, it's not okay.
Destruction is fun.
It's not left versus right, because there were liberals who voted for Trump. There were never Trumpers on the right. So it wasn't an ideological divide. it was a cultural divide in some ways. It was people tired of the politically correct. We already went through that.
Yeah.
But people that go out there and riot do it because it's fun.
Fun to throw trash all over the street.
Not just that.
Yeah.
And I'm just gonna keep it real. It's not just that. It's our country is divided. It's been divided for centuries, and in the last 8 years, the divide was really brought up. We had a lot of obstruction. Nobody wanted to work together, but it also brought an uprising of an excuse to be ignorant. And now it's okay when things don't go your way, even if you don't understand it, to act a fool and destroy neighborhoods and stuff like that. No one there had a megaphone other than if they were shouting stupid stuff. No, there was no leader who was marching and had this is our agenda and this is why we're protesting Trump. And and there was an actual media reporter who asked them a question, and they could say, well, here's what their issues are. It didn't happen. It was just a bunch.
They're college professors.
It's not even college professors. It's people who have the ignorance in this country on a certain level of our population is embarrassingly, I mean, it's just ridiculous. And then when you let them, they make excuses. All you need to hear is one thing. In my community, if every time something happens between a brother and a police officer, if that brother ends up shot, they automatically assume it was wrong, horrible. We have to march, we have to destroy the hell with the police. Like there's that, and that's not all black people.
Yeah,
that's just, and there's this, in this country, there's this, just this layer of ignorance that doesn't need anything just to act a fool.
Well, that's exactly right. And that's what I'm saying. What happened was good with Donald Trump being elected, whether you like him or not, because you're not going to, there's a less of a chance now to enable that.
Right.
And to actually just go, it's okay. No, it's not okay. It's not okay for black people to commit crimes. It's not okay for white people to commit crimes. It's
How
not
about
okay
short people? And the crime on the
You know what, though? Hold on. That's the thing. Short people usually do commit more crimes. That's a fact.
Science.
That's a fact.
Science.
That's so true.
Science.
That is so true.
It's science.
Short. Well, we do.
See, right there, he tried to shoot you.
I tried to shoot you with my unicorn gun.
Short people.
Sounds like a great song. All right, coming up, a story so fresh I might slap it across the face. The media is having a full-on nervous breakdown, and I'm having the time of my life. Not since the launch of Crystal Pepsi have so many been so wrong. Except for me. I was right. I was right. A Donald Trump victory that still seemed like a long shot early Tuesday quickly turned into a media meltdown.
People have talked about a miracle. I'm hearing about a nightmare.
She won every debate by all standards. Every debate.
Everything.
Every debate. She had the best ad campaign, the best ground game. This is a shot against meritocracy, I think.
Our country is about to face some serious crises. And so, I mean, buckle up. Your country needs you.
And of course, the late night shows weighed into from my new Jenga partner, Trevor Noah, and even to Seth Meyers. There were sad faces all around.
It still doesn't seem real. It still doesn't feel real.
The message that I want to like spread out to other women is exactly what you're saying, is not to give up. Sorry, I hate I can't remember, but
that does mean that someone's daughter is out there right now who will one day have that title. Whoever you are, I hope I live to see your inauguration. And I hope my mom does too. She was really excited yesterday. And I was really sad for her. My mom's name happens to be Hillary.
It was like they watched one of those commercials with all of those sad pets. All right. You know, whenever I see this happen, this is why I always carry around these.
Can I get one of those for you later?
Yeah. But,
I have a long trip ahead of me.
But Terry, remember, they're under the pants. Okay? Last time you did this, it was very embarrassing.
Yeah.
All right, Tyrus, shouldn't these late-night comedians be celebrating because the next 4 years is going to be easier than if Hillary won? I mean, I understand. Who was the last guy's name? Seth Meyers. I understand, you know, he was sad about his mother not seeing a woman president. But in his career, like, he wouldn't be able to make fun of Hillary for that reason.
Well, let's go back. You said media.
Yeah.
And
which I am a part of.
Yes, you are.
Partly.
But to be, it's such a loose term now. It's like everyone's beast mode now. Everyone's a beast now. Used to be this was beast. Now this could be beast too.
I don't know what that means.
No, he's right. It's a complete overused
And
term.
you spent the last year burying Donald Trump. You pushed your agenda. You knew you were so smart, you were so clever, you were so funny, you made fun of his hair, color of his skin. Everybody who voted for Trump had tobacco in their mouth, 6 babies, 4 of them were theirs, the other 2 were from the sister that didn't raise them. The entire country was a bunch of morons who drove trucks and said mayonnaise in 2 phrases, 1 for spread and 1 mayonnaise, a lot of people walking around. So, and the joke is on you. You were the joke.
Yeah.
And you're not the media.
Yeah.
People didn't care about your comments and your stuff like that. For the first time in a long time, we have no obstruction in this country, which I think is bigger than any party. We have a Senate, we have a House, we have a president, so we can get things done. And if they don't, next man up.
We crush them. Yeah.
Then the Democrats get a second shot, or maybe by the time we'll get an independence thing going, whatever. But they deserve a chance. They won. The country has spoken, and it's your responsibility. If you're going to be on the air and whatever network you work for, to tell it like it is. Don't push your agenda. He's crying like if my son or daughter did that, I would have walked him to the bathroom. Because after the baseball game, they didn't win. I didn't win that. I struck out because you suck, son. Come on, let's go. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's the reality.
Kat, I want to get Kat in here. Kat, you're a member of the media.
Yes,
tangentially, if possible. How do you feel about how because the media really did love Donald Trump. I mean, they put him out there, but did they just put him out there just to bring him down? And now they're all shocked that he won. They didn't expect him to win.
Right. Well, the thing is, you have to cover what people want to cover. Donald Trump made it impossible to not cover Donald Trump.
Exactly.
I mean, he's tweeting out these things. Everyone's seeing it. You can't even go to a bar and talk about anything but politics, no matter who you are. So if you weren't talking about Trump, you're going down. There's the REM guy, Michael Stipe, accused Alec Baldwin and SNL of helping get Trump elected. Not even by having him host, but by having him be parodied. What are they supposed to do?
Yes.
He just not just okay. Yeah, I know he's a presidential candidate, but not cover him. It's just so simplistic to say that, oh, it's all the media's fault. No, people had legitimate reasons for voting for Trump, the ones who supported him, and they got more and more devoted to Trump when they saw the media assume that they didn't, that the only reason that they were supporting him is because they were seeing him on TV. And the more that happened, the more that their reasons were dismissed, the more they were like, Trump is the only one listening to me. So that's why he was able to get away with saying so many things, because they're like, I don't care, at least he's the only one listening to me and the only one who understands about, the PC thing, and he's not afraid to say bomb the out of him at a time where we have a president that won't say radical Islamic terror. So I wasn't. It makes sense where it all came from, and the media, by saying there was no reason other than exposure, they really made it worse.
Well, Dirk, I'm afraid to ask you.
Don't be afraid. Be brave.
All right.
It's a brave new world.
I just don't know. I don't know. It's hard for me. I mean, you know what? I remember being apocalyptic when Bill Clinton was elected. That's how old I am.
Really?
Don't we all go through this kind of thing? We do it like.
Yeah, but you did it with Bill. I did it with, I did with Bill. I did it with Jimmy Carter.
Yes.
I don't want to go back there.
Yes, Jimmy.
But they do it with Barry Goldwater, my first election. Barry Goldwater, oh my God, they did to him what they then did to
everybody
Reagan.
else.
They did it to all of them. Reagan was the only one.
And Hillary worked for Goldwater.
Well, she got kicked off the Watergate thing, because she was too corrupt for that. But what was the question?
That was a Trump joke from a speech. I don't think. You know what? If you can't remember the question, we move on. Terry.
Thank you.
I don't have a question.
I feel like something crazy could happen right here.
Yeah, no,
it's a good thing. No, but
let me say one thing. Trump better not listen to all the people that are making nice with him. A lot of them in his party.
So you're vindictive. You're vindictive.
No, he doesn't.
Yes, he does.
No,
he can't only talk to. He's going to be the president.
Do you remember?
He better do everything he said. He better do everything on that. We're going to ride on him. We're going to do it all.
Do you remember when Obama got elected and he brought in the Republican leaders and he said, I want to work with you, but if you don't want to work with me, adios, I'll work around you. I got a pen and a phone. I don't need you.
That's a good point.
I actually do not want a dictator.
That's exactly what he needs to do.
But he's also going to be, here's the thing that Donald Trump will not have, that Barack Obama had for 8 years. He will not, obviously, have the protection of the media. That's gone.
Right.
That's good. You couldn't say anything about President Obama, certainly the first 4 years, if you even anything racist.
He doesn't need the protection.
No. But what I'm saying is, right, maybe not. He's not going to have that. He's also going to have, I hope, a now a Congress with spine that would not fight Barack Obama, that now they should hold him to account, do the checks and balances, and if he gets out of line, then you kind of crush him and bring him back in. This is a win-win for everybody if everybody take a deep breath. And I disagree with one point you wrote.
What?
You wrote a great piece. You wrote a great piece about those three or four things you took.
Right.
And you said the only reason the media, you said the media was all about only ratings. I don't think that's true. I disagree a little bit. They did have an agenda. They did want to see Hillary Clinton elected. It wasn't just about getting ratings. I also think Hillary Clinton's campaign was very happy to see Donald Trump voted because she thought that'd be the dude she could beat.
And also, that was the point. And also the fact that she didn't have to do anything as long as Donald was up there and he was the entertainment value.
That's true.
And she thought she could hide somewhere in a
and she did. And it blew up in her face too.
All right, we've got to go. We've got so much stuff. Coming up, who'll be in Trump's cabinet? I'm guessing Chef Boyardee and maybe Mrs. Butterworth. That's a cabinet joke.
If you'll be in the New York area and would like to be part of our studio audience, email Greg Tix at foxnews.com.
So, who will be in Trump's cabinet? Not me, I'm claustrophobic. Little cabinet humor that never works. Anyway, President-elect Donald Trump's reported list of potential cabinet members includes lots of big-time names, as well as some surprises. Newt Gingrich is listed as a possible Secretary of State. That's him. Alabama Senator Jeff Sessions and former New Hampshire Senator Kelly Ayotte, or Ayotte, probably Ayotte, said to be considered for Secretary of Defense. Ben Carson, you remember him? He played a doctor. He's, what's he up for? He's listed as a possible Secretary of Education or Secretary of Health and Human Services. Great guy. Former New York City Mayor and hero, Rudy Giuliani. And New Jersey Governor Chris Christie. They're both being considered for Attorney General. I think that Bridgegate took a toll on Mr. Christie.
Oh, I do declare.
These, of course, are the major departments, but I got some suggestions for some of the lesser-known, but just as important roles. For example, Brett Michaels, he could be chief of bandanas. Scott Baio will be in charge of Charles.
Nice.
Charles in charge.
Nice.
He'll be in charge of Charles.
That's a good one.
Yes. I don't know what that is. Gary Busey will be Secretary of saying crazy things before running down the street without his pants. And, of course, Dennis Rodman will be ambassador to North Korea. About time we had one. About time. All right. Terry, do you have any interesting picks? Who would you like to see there?
I think Terry Schappert should be Secretary of the Army.
Ooh.
We've had some ones for the last two.
Yeah.
We got office secretary. I'm just kidding, by the way. Way too lazy, and I'm not. I think John Bolton would be a great Secretary of State.
Yeah. You do know he is president. He was president of Red Eye.
He was president of Red Eye, and by the way, he did a yeoman's job.
Yeah, it was great.
He did yeoman work.
We had 76 months of unlimited growth.
And by the way, nobody assaulted your borders.
No, that is true, unless I ask.
He's got a great bench to pick from.
Yes,
he's got a great bench. He's got a great bench.
Got a great bench, Dirk. Who would you like to see in that cabinet?
Ted Cruz.
Ted Cruz.
I love Ted Cruz.
And where would you like to see him?
I don't know. Secretary of State.
Interesting. Do you think they'll get along after he accused Cruz's dad of killing JFK? That's kind of a problem.
Maybe not.
Yeah,
that's all right.
Maybe not. Probably not.
No, he tweeted a picture of his wife, but I think they apologized.
Hey, Obama said that Trump was a Ku Klux Klan guy.
Really?
I mean, that's about as bad as you can go.
Yeah, I guess
after
so.
that.
Yeah, that's pretty bad. Tyrus, any thoughts? Would you like to be in the cabinet?
I'd be a good. I think I'd be a good Secretary of State. I think
you'd be the Sergeant of Arms in the House and Senate.
Actually, I'd be the guy to be like, "Hey, boss, nah."
Yeah.
I just sit behind and just no. You know.
But that's that's the most important.
Those are the best
criteria because you can't surround yourself with yes men. You need one good no man.
Yeah, I'm good at saying no.
Yeah.
Oh, help, boss, no. Don't no.
That's kind of what got Obama jammed. Yeah. He had secret fence.
No windows on the wall. No.
We had Valerie Jarrett. He relied on Valerie Jarrett for everything.
Yes,
Kat, that was a woman, Valerie Jarrett. Yes. Do you see? I'm going to do the typical thing they do in talk shows. When you have a woman, you always ask the woman
as
question.
a woman.
Any women come to mind?
Or
It's
the year of the woman, Kat.
It's the year, is it?
Yes.
I think it's interesting to think about that. Is he going to try to appoint women, people that you know, he was insulted. You know,
right.
Women, and he's going to have Muslim Americans. He's going to have Mexican Americans. I mean, that could be a good way for people to get less mad at him if he wanted to go that route.
Yes.
But I don't know if he'll go that
Check
route.
every box.
Check, yeah, but I don't think he's. But the check every
Political
box
correctness at work there. Check every box.
Yeah.
You know, more political correctness.
I think he'll
the best
pick the best man for the job.
I think, yeah, exactly. I'm always on team, you know, pick the best person, especially when we're talking about the country.
That was an amazing.
She doesn't mean that.
I don't even know.
I do mean that. Like, I do mean that. If you're like, okay, we need a female manager of this Arby's in order for the diversity, then like what happens to that Arby's doesn't really mean as much to me as what happens in the country.
Okay. Yeah, although you know, Arby's one of the first places to have curly fries.
I like Arby's. I could eat some Arby's.
I think Arby's, because you know nobody likes fast food roast beef. Come on.
I do.
No, you can get that at the
Fake
deli.
cheese.
You go to get fast
Arby's
food
is
for
awesome.
things that you can't cook because you don't have a fryer in your kitchen. You can make a roast beef sandwich, Arby's. You were wrong.
Okay, I hate Arby's. I'm gonna go online and say that.
really?
I don't know what kind of meat's on that, and I'm not eating it.
Do you need to?
I love their
But
curly fries.
Americans are spoken. We don't want status quo. We didn't elect the first woman president just because she was a woman.
Yeah.
We elected what we thought was the best man for the job. And if Donald Trump starts picking,
I'm just saying.
Tyrus is chubby. Let's put him in charge of this. He's skinny. No, we don't want that.
You're not chubby.
I know I'm jacked, but that's not the point. But that's not the point. I'm not afraid of that. I'm chunky buff, whatever. But the point is,
Get to the
we want
point.
the best man for the job or woman. We don't want just appointing.
I got you. All right, coming up, a story so unbelievable, I'm fairly certain I made it up. Colleges are canceling midterms for students distraught over the election. May they never get a job in the real world, ever. He gave them time to heal because the students couldn't deal. This week, an economics professor at Yale gave his students the option of not taking the midterm exam because some of them were all shook up about the election, even before the election had been called for Donald Trump. Students at another Ivy League college, Cornell, never heard of it, held a cry-in on the quad. University of Kansas. Wow, man. University of Kansas had therapy dogs, poor dogs, to comfort the students. And according to the Wall Street Journal, students at the University of Michigan went to the Student Affairs office to play with coloring books and Play-Doh. All right. Terry.
Yeah.
Do you think this is just some kind of temporary thing? I have a feeling, like when I went to the debate at Hofstra, I saw a lot of kids for Trump. When I was at Berkeley,
I think so too.
when I was at Berkeley, there were no conservatives out walking around. That was 25 years ago, and now
Do you think
actually
there were even none, or were they just were they
hiding? They were hiding.
That's exactly right.
But when I was at Hofstra for the debates, there were kids out there. Trump, and that's new.
We just said this. I think whether you like this or not, this is freeing. And freedom is always a scary thing, right?
Yeah.
Because freedom is not guaranteed. But now you actually can be, you should be able to be on campus. And I mean, like that's one of the best places you should be able to do it. And think about how clamped down it's been.
Yeah,
and
stifling.
I mean,
suffocating.
So it is liberating. You're welcome, left wing. You're welcome. You're free now.
You know, it's interesting, Kat, because you get a lot of complaints from comedians who go to campuses who say they can no longer do the kind of material because it's stifling. They will disinvite speakers. So maybe this is it. This is where, this is the end of that.
It should be, and especially if you oppose Trump. I wrote a piece about this, and it was called "Class is being canceled because Trump won is why Trump won."
Yeah. Right.
And that's just the truth. People are not thinking, oh, wow, these kids are so upset and they're missing class. Maybe I should have thought about what I did. They're thinking, that's why I did it.
Right, exactly right.
And it's not surprising. It's not surprising. If they can't see Trump's name in chalk without, like, freaking out, needing a safe space, I'm very not at all surprised that when they have to think of, oh, he's the actual president, how they'd have a hard time dealing with that. And even they're saying, it's personal, I'm worried about my family, I'm worried about this, I'm worried about that. Okay, kindergartners, people in the first grade that live in broken homes, go to school every day, and they don't have their teachers giving them notes saying, okay, yeah, you're going through a tough time, so you don't need to learn to read an ad. That's not how the world works, and they've created this so much more than anybody's racist uncle or whatever it is that they're saying is causing this. So hopefully they'll realize it. It's really up to whether or not they can get it together.
Right on, yeah.
Tyrus? You came from a broken home.
Oh, yeah, broke as hell.
Because you sat on it and it broke.
Greg.
That's a joke about how big you are.
Was it? Thanks, Mom. Oh my God.
It was.
He's the largest unsafe space.
I went to college.
Yeah.
I went to school in Nebraska, so I had to walk in the snow uphill both ways.
And you're
stuff
grateful.
like that. I think it's not so much the kids, the college kids or whatever. I think and there was a great wrestling coach. His name was Arn Anderson of the Four Horsemen. Maybe you've heard of him. He had a great saying for what was wrong with colleges, especially elite colleges like Yale and the professors like that. I believe the word he was used was the of these people.
It's right there. It's a word.
It wasn't the students. It was the instructor.
Right. Yeah,
I'm sad. I'm a liberal. I'm sad. We're not going to have class tomorrow because I can't have papers. You know what I would do if I was in class? I'm like, oh, yeah, I'm sad too. Let's go. Like, students are going to give whatever you have.
There was a University of Rochester professor who canceled all of his student meetings because he, as the professor, couldn't bear to talk about it with his students.
Yeah.
Go to work.
Go to work. I got a last word to you.
How much time do I have?
Yeah, 40 seconds.
That's a very good question.
I wonder.
What?
Mom, you're 99 years old. You're beautiful. Think Ingrid Bergman. Every morning in my life when I was living, I woke up to breakfast. I came home to dinner. She mended. She patched my clothes. She was my nurse. She was a doctor. She kept the family together. She cooked. She cleaned. She had 5 family.
Yeah.
She put me to school. She never complained. And then I went to college and met feminists who told me that my mother was a failure.
Right.
That's true.
Yeah, but
that's true.
God bless your mom. I love you and thank you and all your generations.
Hey, that's nice, man.
All right. I call that a grand slam. Final thoughts. Next. Well done. Awesome show. Thanks to Terry Schappert, Dirk Benedict, Tyrus, Katherine